Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk Physical Media. I am your host, John. This is the weekly show where we talk all the news in the world of physical media. And it was a pretty busy news week this week. The big announcement was NOSFERATU. We talked about that coming to 4K Blu-ray with an extended edition, and right now you can watch that digitally if you so choose. But when are those 4K Blu-rays going to be hitting the market in the standard and the Steelbook edition with that extended cut? And the answer is February 18th, which surprised the hell out of me and that's only 60 days after it had its official release in theaters. You know, people did get to see it earlier in IMAX. Critics got to see it probably a month before that. But the wide release was December 25th, Christmas Day, 2024. And now you'll be able to grab that on February 18th, 2025 on 4K Blu-ray. You know, I'm glad that it's going to be hitting 4K Blu-ray on February 18th. I'm happy about that for the physical media collectors like myself, and I'll probably grab it that day. But there's a reason why movies don't get to stretch their legs out in theaters and why people don't anticipate the physical media release like they used to. I mean, we're putting movies out on digital 30 days after they're in theaters. You're basically killing the movie theater market. One thing about Disney, and I don't really love to praise Disney, but they at least wait the 90 days before that stuff comes out. And I really think we should go back to that. I know that might not be the more popular opinion just because people always want to get this stuff in their hands as soon as possible. Not everybody loves the movie theater experience. But what hurts movie theaters a lot is movies not being in theaters for very long. You know, going to the movie theater is supposed to be an experience. The only place you can see those movies is in theaters, and then eventually they'll end up on home video. When I was a kid growing up, you know, there'd be times when movies would go in theaters, and I wouldn't even think about them for a whole nother year before they came out on physical media. And that was fine because, you know, you move on to the next thing. But I feel like now we kind of get concentrated on when's it going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray or when's it going to be coming to digital instead of actually going to the movie theater. I don't want to seem like a movie theater preacher because, you know, that's another thing. The movie theaters have their own set of flaws. But I just feel like it, as far as the entire film business, I feel like it kind of hurts it by bringing a movie to 4K Blu-ray and to the digital market so soon after it was released in theaters. Movies need a little bit more time to stretch their legs out in theaters so that they do financially well, so they keep making us movies. We do need these movies to be somewhat successful for them to keep coming to us, because if they don't, they'll just stop making those types of movies. And there's a big difference between movies that go right to streaming and then movies that go right to theaters. And a movie that came out in theaters this past week, we got an official announcement of when its UK release is going to be, and that they'll be getting a universal 4K Blu-ray. And that movie is The Brutalist. And I got to see this movie this past Thursday, and I absolutely loved it. I'll give you guys a full review this week on the Let's Talk review show. But here in the United States, A24, I believe, is doing the United States 4K Blu-ray release for The Brutalist, a front runner for Best Picture, got nominated. Adrien Brody got nominated for Best Actor, very well deserved. Guy Pearce got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I don't know, it's either him or Kieran Culkin. I watched both A Real Pain and The Brutalist in back-to-back days, and it's a coin flip who gave the better performance. Very different performances and in very different films, but still, Guy Pearce and Kieran Culkin, they are definitely front runners for Best Supporting Actor. And whoever wins, I'll be pretty happy about that. But The Brutalist itself, seeing that movie on 4K Blu-ray in the UK, you guys will be getting a universal 4K Blu-ray release, while here in the United States, I believe we'll be getting an A24 4K Blu-ray release. And now these aren't confirmed, but they are going to be confirmed pretty soon. Usually these get leaked pretty early, and Dawn of the Disc usually reports on this stuff, and he's usually right. So he talked about movies coming to 4K Blu-ray from Scream and Shout Factory for April. And we just talked about their March releases, so this does seem a little bit quick, but it looks like we're going to be getting Timecop, The Hunt, Redfield, and Hail Caesar on 4K Blu-ray. All those movies, I would say, are good. None of them, I think, hit that great level, even Timecop, although I'm revisiting a lot of Van Damme movies, trying to reassess his work. I've enjoyed a few of them lately, especially Kickboxer. Timecop is one I actually remember really liking. My biggest flaw, if I remember what Timecop was, I just thought it would be a little bit bigger and a little bit more blockbustery than it ended up being, and I saw this at a younger age. But now, revisiting it, I'll probably grab this on day one. It comes out in April. So that's a pretty big deal. The Hunt is actually the last movie I saw in theaters before the pandemic. Like a lot of movies, that just killed its box office, and I feel like it just killed that movie in general. The Hunt was a fantastic, really enjoyable movie. I think people forgot also because it's more like a 7.5, 8 out of 10, but a good time at the theaters. But once the pandemic came around, that movie just had no shot. I feel like nobody really even talks about that film anymore, and it's a shame. Hail Caesar is one from the Coen brothers. A lot of people don't really necessarily love Hail Caesar. I actually think it's really, really funny, and it's definitely worth checking out if you didn't see it, because it kind of got railroaded when it first came out. And I mean, I guess it's it's not as good as other Coen Brothers movies, but I would put it down there with like Barton Fink, where it's good for a couple of watches, and I don't think it's a bad movie, and this is a great chance to revisit it. And then Renfield. Now this hurts, because last year this came out on Blu-ray, when it was released in theaters, and now it's getting the 4K Blu-ray treatment about a year later, and you hate to see things like that happen, but understandable. And Renfield's a pretty good movie. We got a lot of vampire movies last year, a lot of movies about Dracula himself, and Renfield was another one of those movies that didn't perform that well at the box office, which surprised me because the cast itself was pretty stacked, and Nicolas Cage, I guess he's not that much of a box office draw as I thought. I think people are really entertained by him, but I guess they don't really run out and be like, oh, it's the new Nick Cage movie, which, very different from 1990s action star Nicolas Cage, but hey, he's still out there, he's still going for it. Look at Longlegs. That movie made money last year, but was that because of Nicolas Cage or because people were talking about how good of a horror movie that was? These are questions we have to ask. But hey, it's exciting that Renfield will be coming to 4K Blu-ray. And speaking of the Coen Brothers, Burn After Reading is supposedly going to be coming out on 4K Blu-ray on April 8th. Very similar to Hail Caesar. I wouldn't say this is one of the Coen Brothers' best films, but it's still a pretty damn good one. Brad Pitt is the standout performance in Burn After Reading. I remember this one being pretty popular when it came out, but it kind of came and went, and no one really talks about Burn After Reading anymore. And you know what? That's pretty exciting. That'll be coming to 4K Blu-ray. I could always live with more Coen Brothers on 4K Blu-ray. I'm not too sure what the studio is doing that. I'm going to guess that that's a Kino Lorber 4K Blu-ray release. Another one I don't usually talk about from Umbrella. I don't usually cover Umbrella too much on this show just because I don't really buy too many stuff from them, but they have been doing a great job in the last year. And then one movie I know a lot of people are excited about, and this is going to be coming out in May, I believe, and that is The Fall. And The Fall is from 2006 and is directed by Tarsum Singh, who also directed The Cell, which just got an Arrow Video 4K Blu-ray release, which, having some mixed reactions, having a little bit of controversy there. But one thing about The Cell and one thing about The Fall is that they're some of the most beautiful looking films that you'll ever see. I've actually never seen The Fall. My buddy, Uncle V, who follows this channel, he's a big fan of both The Cell and The Fall, and he's telling me, I gotta grab that one, check it out on 4K Blu-ray because it's a beautiful looking film. And maybe that'll be my first official Umbrella release that I get, on day one. I know many, many people are excited about that. I'm just hoping that there's a standard edition because that collector's edition sure does look expensive. Another movie has been added to the 4K Blu-ray lineup for February 11th, Paddington 2. And this looks like it's just going to be getting a standard 4K Blu-ray release on the same day as Judas and the Black Messiah and The Nice Guys on 4K Blu-ray. Just another one. Let's get this 4K Blu-ray out there. I'm still on the fence if I'm going to grab The Nice Guys. I got to be honest, guys. The second sight announcement for The Nice Guys kind of got me thinking maybe I should wait instead of getting that Nice Guys 4K Blu-ray from Warner Bros. Because at the end of February, we are getting so much, and I might have to grab NOSFERATU now on 4K Blu-ray. But between Constantine, The Third Man, Panic Room, Uncle Buck, the end of February is just loaded. So I might wait on The Nice Guys and see what Second Sight is doing with their own edition for that one. Because those regular releases where it's just one disc with no Blu-ray copy and no digital code, and at $23, $23 is actually a pretty good price. But still, it's a tough pill to swallow when a better version might be coming down the line. Because I don't imagine that The Nice Guys 4K Blu-ray will have any new extras. And the Blu-ray that's already out there is pretty damn good. And for anyone keeping track of those Clint Eastwood 4K Blu-rays that we talked about last week, it looks like their release date will be either April 15th or April 22nd. And the Dirty Harry 4K Blu-ray cover keeps changing around. I don't know which is which. Everyone keeps reporting it from the artist formerly known as Twitter's Clint Eastwood account, which is not the real Clint Eastwood. A lot of people seem to think that's the real Clint Eastwood on Twitter talking about his physical media releases. Clint Eastwood is 94 years old. If he's on there talking about 4K Blu-ray releases, I would be shocked. But I'd be very happy. I'd like to know that Clint Eastwood is a physical media collector, but he doesn't seem like that type of guy, especially in the 4K Blu-ray field. He looks like the kind of guy who just wants to keep making movies, which you guys should see Juror number 2. And then the last thing we're going to talk about this week, and it might not necessarily be physical media, but it is physical media related, and that's because Netflix is yet again going to be raising their prices, and this seems to be like an every 3 to 6 month type of deal. And I just want to point this out to you guys because you might be like, oh, it's only like $1 or $2 kind of raise. Well, when they do that a few times a year, and And with what Netflix used to cost, not even the last few years, they've gone up like almost $10 for their premium account. They've added ad tiers. And then even if you pay for their premium accounts, if you want to watch, like, say, WWE Raw, which you are paying for, that's the reason why they're raising these prices, because they just spent, I think, like $1 billion to get Raw on their network. So they have to foot that bill. Well, where's that bill heading towards? That bill's heading more towards us to pick up that slack. Despite the fact they're selling ad revenue on Netflix nowadays, they just reported a huge jump in subscribers in December. And this is the shit that really just pisses me off, is to see a corporation go, you know, we need more money because we just bought this. Shouldn't we maybe cut from, like, the executives, the CEO, so we could save a little bit of money instead of taking it from the consumers who've been supporting us this long? They're like, no, fuck that. Take it from them and raise their prices. They could afford it. We're at the point now where you have to start cutting streaming services. Now, I'm a huge wrestling fan, so Netflix is a tough pill to swallow, but I might do it. You know, that's the thing about physical media, is at least, hey, you buy these movies, they're a premium when you first buy them, but then you get to keep them and you're not paying for them over time. Unless, you know, you do shop pay or installment pays like I like to do, you know, save a little bit of time. But that ends pretty damn fast. Whereas Netflix, you're paying for that every single month. And are you actually using that, Max, Peacock, all of these streaming services every single month at the ridiculous prices that they're charging? And they all keep raising their prices. Hulu, Disney raises their prices just as much as Netflix does. Peacock has raised their prices. Max is always raising their prices. And David Zaslav, the Warner Brothers CEO, you know, he's like one of the biggest piece of shits walking this planet, so he has no problem ripping off the consumer. But then there's us out there who, you know, we're still supporting them because we kind of justify it to ourselves, like they're only raising it $1, they're only raising it like $2. But I might actually just finally cut these off. The only things I watch other than my physical media releases are Raw, and it might be a tough pill to swallow, but, you know, I can't justify paying all these prices. I don't even have enough time in the day to watch all the stuff that I'm paying for, and I can't just be giving all these corporations all this money so that they could just pay other people. It's just not right anymore at this point, and it's just driving me nuts. So I would just recommend to you guys, look at all your streaming costs and how they keep raising the prices, and then this is why I think that physical media is king. Like, I'm not somebody who hates digital media. I watch stuff on there, but what they're doing with those prices and how in physical media, you know, anytime you want to watch one of your favorite movies, it could just be sitting there on the shelf. Like I said, I know it's harder to justify, hey, buying a $30 movie, but now a $30 4K Blu-ray is the same price almost as 1 month of the premium service of Netflix, which is crazy. You can get a much better movie from a company that probably cares about you more if you were to buy it from, like, I don't know, like Arrow Video or Shout Factory, than to give it to a corporation like Netflix, who clearly only cares about that bottom line like most corporations do. Sorry for the little rant there, guys, but I just can't believe that this just happens over and over, and we kind of like skim past it, because again, it's like the $1 to $1.50 range, where you're just like, it's not that big of a deal. But they do this numerous times a year, and it's all just to satisfy the shareholders, because the way corporations work is they have to always increase. It can't be flat. If they see flat, they look at that as a loss. So they have to always keep going up and up until eventually that bubble bursts, and then, you know, they start selling it, and then they start merging corporations, and then we end up with monopolies. So the end of my rant is basically this: physical media is king. But guys, anyway, I just wanted to talk to you guys about that just a little bit, just to kind of tie into what's been going on with movie theaters, what's going on with streaming services. I'm just seeing like a big change in the market of films, and I think it all does tie back into physical media as well. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about that before we get out of here today. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Let's Talk Physical Media, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We also have channel membership, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like John Del Juggalo, or a channel director like Frank from Frank's Medium Reviews and Mr. Smelly Potato, you can look for all that information in the description below. But if you got no money to throw away, guys, don't worry about it all. We just hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.